Hello and welcome back to Norty's Forgotten Flicks. On April 20th, 1999, students Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold entered Columbine High School in Colorado armed with guns they had acquired months prior. They began to open fire outside the school before entering and in the end killed 12 students, one teacher, and injured over 20 others before committing suicide in the library. The Columbine Massacre has inspired a lot since it happened, from books to TV specials to, unfortunately, other shootings, but also several movies. In fact, 2 movies based on the tragedy came out in the same year. Gus Van Sant's Elephant, which I haven't seen, and the subject of today's review, Zero Day. Directed and written by Place Beyond the Pines co-writer Ben Cosio, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, Zero Day is a found-footage drama following 2 high school students named Andre Kriegman and Cal Gabriel as they plan an attack on their high school. Through the lens of their own cameras, we see how they got their guns, build pipe bombs, and how they're preparing for the day of the attack, which they call Zero Day. This movie works on 2 levels. 1, it's just a really great drama, and 2, it's a great Columbine movie. I did a lot of research on the Columbine shootings for this, and while this may be a fictional story with fictional characters, it's the closest Columbine movie we've gotten. A lot of aspects from the real-life events are also in this. The film is told in a found footage style similar to the basement tapes that Eric and Dylan made before the shootings. They acquired guns from someone they knew. At one point we see Andre working at a pizza restaurant, which they also did in real life. And at one point they are at a shooting range and Cal mentions the theory of natural selection.
Natural selection.
Which Harris firmly believed in. And they even look similar. And remember, this came out in 2003. In fact, it was supposed to come out in 2001, but after 9/11, Cosio decided to push the release date back. So while we have 15 years of learning all this stuff, this movie only really had 2. Remember, the 2 basement tapes that have been released weren't made public until 2003 and 2004. Now, as a movie, I will say there isn't really much of a plot. It's mostly just watching these 2 plan while occasionally showing them with their family or friends, which normally would annoy me, but here, I think it works, mostly because of the acting. The acting is really good. Andre and Cal talk like teenagers. Yes, they're psychopaths, but they're also teenagers, and they talk like you would expect most teens to, using a lot of slang, throwing out F-bombs every other sentence, and actually being pretty humorous, either from smack-talking each other or just being asses. Which, yeah, that's how teenagers act. Believe me, I was one. And that realistic acting works with the found footage. This was back when found footage was actually trying to make an attempt to fool you that it was real, with movies like The Blair Witch Project and Alien Abduction Incident in Lake County. Nowadays, they've pretty much given up on that, but I appreciate when they try and make it as close to reality as possible. And it also helps that both Andre and Cal have perfectly distinguished personalities. While Andre is more shy and aggravated, Cal is more outgoing and seems more calm, which actually kinda makes him creepier. Whereas Andre is always on high alert, making sure everything is going to plan, Cal is laid back and doesn't seem that worried. And remember, they're planning on killing people. Andre is also a lot more unlikable. He seems to get mad much more often at little things, and he seems to be a dick to everyone around him, even his parents. I do have to give you a warning, this is not an easy movie to watch, especially the ending. Now yes, I know what you're thinking. Well, it's a movie about 2 kids planning on shooting up their school. Of course it's gonna be disturbing. Well, that's what I thought, and even I found parts of this movie hard to watch. Now for my favorite scene. Now I was originally going to go with the ending, if only for pure shock value. But watching it again, I think I'm actually gonna go with a few scenes before it, where Cal and Andre are talking directly to the camera to explain their motivation, or lack thereof.
Our parents had nothing to do with this, and so everybody knows they didn't know anything about it.
I mean, when our parents find these tapes, I mean, what are they going to think? Oh my god, I was asleep upstairs while they were in the basement recording this. We could have known. We could have stopped them.
No.
That's bullshit, Mom. Don't worry about that.
Alright, so you found us and you think, Jesus, I'm sending them to counseling. We have to stop this. We'd go through counseling, we'd wait a period, and then...
We'd just come out and do it anyway.
Exactly. You could think that you've cured us, and we'll make you believe that, but you can't cure somebody who has nothing wrong with them. don't feel guilty about this.
I mean, it's not your fault. We love you. I mean, we weren't morons like every other loser that's done this. I mean, we weren't a bunch of fuckos and retards who were just starving for attention. We fooled everybody. I mean, even if we hadn't, could you blame them for not noticing? For years, I've been tormented by all of you assholes. Okay? I was called a faggot for walking down the hall in school in a shirt that came from fucking J.C. Penney. It's a fucking shirt. Who the fuck cares? We'll be fucking God. I mean, we decide who lives and who dies. We're not trying to waste anybody's life. We're trying to show people what they should value.
And that's what I took away from this. Why does stuff like this happen? Do they want attention? Is it violent video games and movies? Are they just crazy? Bullying? Guns? Religion? I don't know about you guys, but every time one of these mass shootings happens, everyone I know always thinks it's one single reason. But it's usually a barrage of things. In fact, in doing research for this, I came across the 0 Hour documentary on Columbine, and at one point, they mentioned this.
But perhaps the answer is that there is no single cause. That Eric and Dylan were created by a kind of perfect storm of circumstances.
And that's the perfect way to describe it. Perfect storm. Everyone has their own experiences in life, and those experiences shape them for who they are, and what they do later in life. In fact, during a philosophy class, my professor said that there was really no such thing as free will. You were controlled by all the outside forces around you, and I really didn't believe him until I rewatched this movie. In fact, at another point in this movie, Cal says this.
And when Andre and I came together, it was like that whole time before I had, built up my part and he had built up his, and then we came together and made this like point. And then from there, it all just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Everyone always tries blaming one sole reason, but it's probably a perfect storm of everything they've ever lived through. But back to the movie. Despite decent reviews, it bombed at the box office, even though it had the incredibly low budget of $20,000. But it seems to have gained a bit of a following. If you can handle it, and you don't mind that it doesn't have much of a plot, I say check it out. I think Zero Day is more relevant now than it was back then, and so far it's the best Columbine-inspired movie I've seen. Although maybe that'll change later this year, as we're getting a movie called I'm Not Ashamed, which focuses on Rachel Scott, who was the first person killed in the shootings. Wonder how that'll turn out. Wait, what?